Can you hear me now? No? Okay, so that isn't it. Can you hear me now? No? You cannot hear me.
Test 1, 2, 3, 4. Still can't hear you.
This is peculiar. Hold on. That was weird. I don't know what's going on. Everything was reading on my computer, but for some reason you couldn't hear me.
But I can hear you.
Good afternoon. If you're on the West Coast, good evening. If you are here with me on the East Coast, you are now listening to Mikasa Sukasa, and I am your host, Niko House. And man, what the heck is going on? Trump and Eminem are in rap beef together. That was interesting. Some people are somewhat upset about it. I really don't care. People have to understand. So I'm a big hip hop fan. Whether or not you really advocated for what happened, for what Eminem said politically, I love when someone can make their point in their own unique way. He didn't. I mean, I feel like at this point, if you actually think that slamming Trump's character, especially once again his character, because I feel like we can all agree at this point that Trump's character it leaves a lot to be desired. Okay, so we're gonna talk about that. I feel like I said, that there's been a lot of overblowing. Not like people just, you know how sometimes people want to comment on things they don't really understand just because they want an opinion on it. Like you don't really know what you're talking about, but you saw all your other quote unquote woke progressive friends saying it, and so you thought it was a good idea to say it. Yeah, that's one of those situations that I feel like we're dealing with right now. And it's sad because that oftentimes leads to people, fighting people who are on their side, which is kind of silly. We're also going to talk about Henry Kissinger, because that's a scary ass guy. Okay? It's what's happening right now. That was probably the scariest meeting that I've seen this year. And really, that kind of put the icing on the cake for Trump. That's pretty much it as far as I'm concerned. And any progressive or conservative who is against imperialism, because that was pretty much the only reason that we didn't mind Trump as much as Hillary. If this meeting ended up like how I think it ended up, which Trump has been pretty much a pawn over the last 3 to 4 weeks, then yeah, we should be absolutely terrified at what comes next, because we already know how this story ends, right? So, I want to thank all you all for showing up. Shout out to my YouTube fans. I appreciate it. I want to thank everybody also for being so patient over the last week or two. Obviously, I've not been posting as much on my YouTube page. The reason is, well, quite frankly, everyone, I am tired. I just moved to a new office for my actual job that pays me, to live. I moved to a new office that's about 10 to 15 more minutes away. My drive was already 35 minutes to 40 minutes in the morning, so it takes about an hour just for me to get to work. I get up at about 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't get home until about 8 o'clock at night. And then these last couple of weekends, I even worked overtime to make up for the lack of time I could spend at work during the hurricane. So essentially, to put it quite frankly, I'm just exhausted. I'll be totally honest with you. And like I said, I want to tell you all that because I normally post, obviously, 10 to 15 videos a week, and I just haven't been able to do that. And I really hope that you all can forgive me. I promise you, I'm going to be back at it very shortly. Other than the 2 or 3 videos that I do post weekly, I'm hopefully starting this weekend. We're going to be back at it. We're going to be, bigger and better. I'm finally catching back up. It's crazy, right? I feel like every time we get settled in and we're like, yes, things are going smooth. My life is getting stable again. And then like the next house over, there's a wildfire that is about to spread to your house. And you're just like staring at it, smiling like, how did I know, right? And that's kind of where we're at right now as far as my life is concerned. But I do miss you guys. I miss you ladies too. It's been too long in my opinion. And so I'm glad that we actually get to reunite and talk about all of the craziness that's happened over the last weekend or the last week or so. So the first thing, like I said, I want to talk about is the meeting between Donald Trump and Henry Kissinger. Holy hell. Okay, so it was already bad enough, right, that that Donald Trump, character-wise, just doesn't have a lot of integrity, right? Okay, I think we can agree on that. People say he says what he wants. I can respect that if a person has conviction. I don't have to like it, but I can at least respect it if a person has conviction. The issue with Trump is that Donald Trump does not have conviction. Donald Trump is a flip-flopper. Donald Trump is a hypocrite, okay? This isn't like some neoliberal pitch. This is a fact. And I know that this is a fact because I watch out for these type of things. I'm the type of person that calls out Obama regularly. I'm the type of person that calls out Hillary Clinton regularly. I call out Bernie Sanders when I have to. I'll call out, obviously, what's her name? Kamala Harris regularly. When it comes to this, when it comes to sports broadcast, I call out everybody. If you're being a hypocrite, then you need to be called out. Fair enough? Right. Donald Trump is the definition of hypocrite. He is a megalomaniac, right? Cool. But the one thing that we thought could possibly be prevented because he is such a megalomaniac is that we thought that certain people would not be able to control him, at least directly, because he's just, if you try and tell him what to do, he is highly likely to fire you. He is highly likely to do the total opposite just based off of that fact. I think that's something we can all agree upon. Now, here's the problem. Donald Trump met with Henry Kissinger, and it wasn't like one of those meetings where you say, look, man, you're not going to be running my administration like you were running those past administrations of Gerald Ford, of Richard Nixon. We're going to do it my way, which, the only thing I really agree with as far as his comments and role in removing the CIA out of Israel. I mean, not out of Israel, out of Syria. Everything else has been kind of But with the ban on Chad, which, like I've explained to you all, is directly connected to the petrodollar and the imperialism that involved the overthrow of Libya and the Chadian governments, with the ban on the Venezuelan government as they got rid of the petrodollar, with Henry Kissinger now being brought into the scene a week or so after both these bans had been taking place. I know that somewhere Alex Jones is in a closet screaming into a pillow because, which is actually one thing that I do agree with him on, because I've seen enough, unfortunately, at this point that I can say confidently, there is a group of people in this world trying to create a quote-unquote new world order. And if you think that that's outlandish or preposterous, I think you need to wake the hell up, because there's a lot of things that happen in this country, in this world, and in this country, that you have to kind of sit back and say, what the hell? I don't understand the point of that. And I think that last week was a good example of that. We talked about that. Like, what the hell is the point of banning the Venezuelan government? What the hell is the point of banning Chadian, quote-unquote, refugees when we've never had an issue with Chad, right? What is the point of the Western world stepping in when the African Union had reached an agreement with Muammar Gaddafi, saying that he would step down peacefully, and yet what did the United States do? What did Hillary Clinton order to happen on October 2011 or 2012, if you don't mind, or if you don't quote me on that, but it was one of those two, 2012 or 2011. I want to say it was 2012. Or was it 2014? I don't remember. He died. Moral of the story is, I'm not good with dates. I'm not good with numbers. But Hillary Clinton invaded or assisted in the invasion of Libya to take down Muammar Gaddafi. The United States infiltrated Chad to assist in overthrowing that government. And obviously the situation with Syria is crazy. Obviously Putin has been very, very, very active in trying to combat imperialism of the United States and the Western world. And you kind of have to wonder at some point, is he paranoid, or does he have legitimate concerns that we might want to be concerned with as well? I mean, there's things that happen that a lot of you don't know about. For example, for some reason, Obama pledged like several $100 billion to putting troops in Eastern Europe, in the Eastern Bloc. And at a certain point, once again, you have to ask, why? That's not your business. It's not your concern. But the truth of the matter is, it is the concern of those who are actually in charge. The corporatists, the oil mongers, the fear mongers. And unfortunately, once again, the majority of them tend to belong to the Western world. So, why the hell is Donald Trump meeting with this guy, right? Because now I got some questions for you, Trump lovers, the apologists of Trump. Trump is a good guy. The guy's been shooting himself in the foot time and time again. If a commentator is taking something that he's done or he said and they're taking it like way too far, I'm the I'm the first one to step in and say, look, relax, okay? Because they take everything that Donald Trump that Donald Trump says way too far. They take things that Hillary Clinton, Obama, and others have said not far enough. And while doing both of these two things, they're completely ignoring issues like the realities in Puerto Rico right now, okay? Where people are dying. And Donald Trump's comments are absolutely insidious. We can't just keep our troops there, man. Like, we got other stuff to do. He's saying it like he's helping someone move, like he's helping his whole old buddy move out of a house, like he's doing him a favor. You're the president of the United States. PR is part of the United States. They're entitled to the same benefits the United States has. They are paying federal taxes the same way that he doesn't, but I do. Like, these are the issues that should be focused on. But even when they do mention Trump and Puerto Rico, it always goes back to the beef between the Puerto Rican mayor, or the mayor of San Juan, and Donald Trump. Like, the issue, people are dying, the lights are out. By the way, Trump and the mayor of San Juan are still beefing. Why don't we talk about the issues that caused us to get there, right? So, on top of all these stacking character issues that we have with Donald Trump, these integrity issues that we have with Donald Trump, he's meeting up with the most dangerous man in human history. I am not exaggerating. The most dangerous man in human history outside of Adolf Hitler. I'm not joking. I am not exaggerating. This is the man who prolonged the Vietnam War for strictly political reasons, who is the brilliant, diabolical mind behind Agent Orange, the same one who bombed Laos, the same one who was carpet bombing Cambodia, and we still don't know why that was, then helped to install a dictator in Cambodia who literally killed millions. I want to read you a quote, because this is for the people who swear Trump is like just infallible, like he's just going to be so different than everyone else. I want you to read a couple of quotes. I can think, this is one, by the way. I can think of no faster way to unite the American people behind George W. Bush than a terrorist attack on an American target overseas. And I believe George W. Bush will quickly unite the American people through his foreign policy. By the way, in case you didn't know, Henry Kissinger was one of the lead advisors on Operation Iraqi Freedom and one of the lead advisors during the war in Afghanistan. Oh, and by the way, guess who just so happened to be appointed as the main investigator? He was in charge of the investigators of 9/11. Yes, it was Henry Kissinger, ladies and gentlemen. This guy who literally said, yo, we should have a terrorist attack so we can unite the people, is the one who was in charge. And it almost makes you feel bad, right? Almost. It legitimately almost makes you feel bad, because as a lot of us figured out at this point, George Bush wasn't necessarily a racist. George Bush wasn't even really all that fiscally conservative or responsible. And although No Child Left Behind was weak and horrible, I don't even think it was like, I don't even think he had bad intentions. I legitimately think that George Bush was exactly what everyone had portrayed him to be before he actually became president and rose to power. He was an idiot. He was stupid. He was easily manipulated. He just wanted to be president because his last name was Bush. He probably thought it would potentially get him more Bush. All puns intended. I think that George Bush was a pawn. I think that Obama was indeed a pawn. Okay? What happened in Iraq and Afghanistan was clearly advocated by Henry Kissinger, considering he was literally in charge of all of it. Okay? If you ever wonder where the misinformation about 9/11, while we're hearing one thing here, one thing there, one thing here, one thing there, guess who was in charge? Henry Kissinger. Oh, but it gets better. Ladies and gentlemen, For those of you who swear to God that the New World Order is some conspiracy theory, which I thought at this point would be common sense, once again, given everything that we see, I figured that we would know, like, Saudi Arabia and all these world leaders from Israel, so like I said, Saudi Arabia, America, people from the Western countries in Europe are all hanging around a little orb, doing a little weird thing. They're like, ooh, where's my, like the little orb? This is my orb. Ooh. That was weird, right? This is a comment, once again, from Henry Kissinger. Today, Americans would be outraged if the UN troops entered Los Angeles to restore order. Tomorrow, oh, cliffhanger. Tomorrow, they will be grateful. This is especially true if they were told there was an outside threat from beyond. Oh, so what you do is you keep American people scared and fearful. And if you do so, you're telling me that there's this high probability that one day they'll just do whatever you say? Like, you give them this threat, right? Like maybe Muslims, for example, Iraq, Afghanistan, right? You know who else goes by that same theory? It's almost like the same theory that Israel uses, right? They make them think that everybody is Hezbollah, everybody from Palestine is a terrorist, everybody in the Middle East wants to destroy them, and that's why we have to hate the Muslims. Interesting. Anybody want to tell me if that worked or not? And at the same time they do this, mind you, right? At the same time they do this, the police have become more militarized over time. At the same time they've done this, all of a sudden everything is support the troops, support the troops, support the troops. Not saying that you should not support the troops for what they hopefully intended to do, because I understand that a lot of them did have good intentions, but unfortunately, good intentions, what does it say? Good intentions paved the way for I don't know. I can't remember what the phrase is, but you know what the phrase I'm talking about is. Okay, look, okay, so all of a sudden the NFL is having, around this same time this quote was said, is having the NFL come out and have people stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, paid for by the military recruiting budget. How coincidental, but let's continue. This is especially true if they were told there was an outside threat from beyond, whether real or promulgated, that threatened our very existence. War on terror. All right. It is then that all peoples of the world will pledge with world leaders to deliver them from this evil. The one thing every man fears is the unknown. When presented with this scenario, individual rights will willingly be relinquished for the guarantee of their well-being granted to them by their world government. Bruh, what else do you need to read? What else do you need? This is from his mouth. This isn't made up. There you go. So Chris, appreciate it. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. There you go. Anyway, I love when my people come on and say, Niko, this is what you meant to say. You know, I be in my zone sometimes. So thank you all so much. But, yo, come on. He literally said, yeah, we can have UN troops in LA if we wanted to. All we have to do is convince them that some threat, even if it's not real, is real. Almost like the real threat of 98% of terrorist attacks in this country being committed by white male Christian extremists are the real threat. And so now, all of a sudden and then of course we shifted attention away from that truth. And then notice how he said outside threat. Everything has to be outside threat, right? So that's when you go Muslims. You couldn't do Muslims anymore. The war in Iraq, Afghanistan, people are catching on to it. We know it was a setup. We know it was bullshit. We know that people need to be held accountable, right? Right. So you got to shift the focus a little bit. Now, of course, Colin Kaepernick had no idea what the hell this is all going to turn into at all whatsoever. I'm actually happy that it's evolved, that the conversation's gotten to this point, that the NFL's ratings have been suffering. Oh man, it's been beautiful to watch. Love it. But with the white supremacists, all of a sudden Antifa comes out, Antifa, whatever they want to call themselves. I've never seen them in the United States. I know people are saying, well, what about Europe? Yes, they were in Europe, for those of you who are curious. But in the United States, they never made any attempt to stop any of the riots in Ferguson, nor in Baltimore, nor in New York after those murders happened. So anyway, I am curious. It seems like another group, not for everybody, but another group, maybe like 12% of the population, paying as criminals, black on black crime this, black on black crime that. Seems like somebody else is being pointed at now. Because once again, it's an outside threat. Even though it could be at home, because like a lot of our Muslim terrorists, they were United States citizens. Muslim terrorists, they were United States citizens. Just like in Europe, they all hold EU passports for some freaking reason, coincidentally enough. So they can be at home, but they have to be viewed as outsiders. And so what do? You pit one group against the other, but you make sure the smaller group can never win, and you make sure that the larger group is always winning, but you make them feel like they are losing or on the verge of losing. Like with the war on terror, once again, because it's the most recent example, especially in the most millennials' minds. You make the smaller group feel like they're always in danger of losing that power. I mean, the larger group, excuse me. So we've seen it. We're seeing it again. Now, some people will say, that's why we can't talk about racism. No, that's stupid. That's stupid. Please stop. Like, you can't say that's why we can't talk about racism. That's why we should be focusing on money versus race. No, you can't. What's a good metaphor for this? You can't kick a field goal for the extra point before you score a touchdown. You get what I'm saying? You can't field the ball before the kickoff. In other words, you have to solve one issue before you move on to the next step. Now, what you do to solve that issue is help people understand where these issues are derived from. Abso-freaking-lutely, these issues are derived from money. However, that is not what is keeping these issues alive and well today. The ignorance of people without money, of those with limited access to education, of those who are bound by tradition because their families were ignorant and maybe their families also had money and were scared they were going to lose it to the black person or to that foreign group or to the Asian group, to the Muslim group, whatever. Okay? So you help people explain where these untruths came, like the idea that black people are the welfare queens, right? Well, that's a racially connotated towards black women, as if black women actually use more. Yeah, not true. Not even by a long shot. Not even close. That's white people, but if it isn't apparent at this point, you have to have an enemy. They did it in Vietnam. They literally use, I want to know how many people made this connection. I'm interested to know how many people made this connection. Remember Vietnam, what was happening there in Vietnam? That was the Cold War. Vietnam War was there, but the overall overarching underlying theme was communism. It was the Cold War. I wonder, maybe, just maybe, who was behind the idea that every single day of the year, communism was trying to destroy us at every turn. Maybe, just maybe, I wonder a little bit. Somebody had something to do with the Cuban embargo. Mr. Henry Kissinger. The same man who worked for Nixon. Interesting. Once again, the same man who promulgated the threat of the Viet Cong. Like, it's so insane to me thinking about it. Like, whoa, y'all just were over there. Like, what do? How did you wake up one day and get drafted to a war where you didn't say not one time, yo, what the heck? How did I end up? I don't even have a problem with Vietnamese people. I have a couple of Vietnamese neighbors down the street. They seem like pretty cool people. I know that somebody, somewhere when they got drafted, other than Muhammad Ali, because I know what he did. And obviously George Bush dodged the draft, and so did Donald Trump. They both dodged the draft. They was out here like, they were looking like Neo in the Matrix when that Vietnam draft came around. Because you have to have a constant outside threat, and guess what happens if you don't? People start thinking, people start waking up, people have time for school instead of worrying about war. People start looking up their own news because the regular news gets boring. The regular news loses money too, so they're perfectly okay with propagating bullshit. So it's a slippery slope from there. This is the same man that called soldiers stupid and said that they were pawns. Now it depends on which side of the fence you sit, I guess, but I'm not going to give Trump the benefit of the doubt and assuming that he is smart enough or well-read enough, or educated enough to know that, or to know that these things were said by Henry Kissinger before he complimented him and kissed his butt. But I am not stupid enough to believe that he did not know Hillary Clinton's relationship with Henry Kissinger, and how Hillary Clinton said that Henry Kissinger commended her. If y'all don't remember that famous debate between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders during the Democratic primary, whenever Hillary Clinton was like, yeah, Henry Kissinger said, we're on the same page. I'm doing a great job as Secretary of State, and I'm very proud of that. And Bernie Sanders was like, hell no, I'm not friends with, not Henry. You mean Henry Killinger? Henry kill everybody? Nah, I'm not friends with him. I don't want him advising me at all. The fact, like I said, the New World Order is a real thing, okay? It is. But people, it's time to wake up, Trump supporters. It's time to wake up, Hillary supporters. It's time to wake up, neoliberals in general. Y'all are focusing on the wrong people. We're arguing about whether Bernie Sanders is perfect or not, or whether Donald Trump is the Antichrist. We're still talking about Putin. Luckily, a lot of that's kind of fading into the background. They're trying to keep it up, but they've already been discredited so many times. So, that's out the window. But we're focusing on some of the most nonsensical things while this type of behavior is taking place in the background. So, people, do your research on Henry Kissinger. Trump supporters, please do your research on Henry Kissinger. Okay? Please. It's not like this isn't little, okay? This is not small. This is millions and 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 millions of lives over the course of 3 to 4 decades, okay? Now, moving on. There are some people who are just, well, first of all, as you all know, Eminem did a freestyle, and his topic was Donald Trump. Some people took this a little bit too far. I'm just like, wait a minute, he's getting paid by the Democratic establishment now just to say these. And if you knew anything about Eminem, you know that he's probably not. And this is something I think people should understand. So first of all, it was okay until he said one positive thing about Obama, which is actually something that I agree with, although I don't really like Obama at the moment. He said that you have to give Obama his props, and he was speaking from a perspective of his decorum, the way he speaks to people, the way he is welcoming, the way he tried to unify, okay, at least out in public. I don't expect Eminem to be well versed on foreign policy in Yemen or Chad or Venezuela. I'm sorry. I've listened to Eminem a long time. Eminem is a smart guy, very intelligent. He's an intellectual, probably philosophically, but when it comes to foreign policy, I'm not going to Marshall Mathers, political analyst and foreign policy expert. If you catch my drift. Okay? So for some people to have this notion that because Eminem had a rap about Donald Trump, he said one positive thing about Obama, which is actually probably his only positive quality as far as his presidency is concerned. He was actually, to a fault, attempting to be at least socially a very unifying persona. He wore it well. Foreign policy, he sucked. He was horrible. He was just, it was disgusting, his foreign policy. Once again, he has good and bad traits as a leader. Okay? He was not the perfect. I don't really like him as the president because I don't think he did enough. He did a lot of bad things, not enough good. Trump has done a lot of bad, mostly bad. One good thing by my count, and exposing CNN inadvertently or, whether it was on accident or on purpose. He has done that. Another good thing is that he's trying to hold Hillary Clinton and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and all those people accountable. So those are a couple of good things that he has done. But once again, his character is abysmal. And if you think otherwise, you need to take a long, hard look at yourself. Okay? Long look at yourself. If you're telling me that the man who critiqued Hillary at every step of the way, because these are some of the things that Eminem talked about. He didn't talk about Donald Trump's foreign policy because he knows that Donald Trump doesn't know enough about Eminem doesn't know enough about foreign policy to critique Donald Trump on foreign policy, which is he clearly only knows things that have happened locally and really only according to what he has the time to read and invest his time in as far as political commentary is concerned. But it wasn't about him politically. What he is saying, clearly, and this is me as a hip-hop head, and actually in my younger years, I used to be a very avid Eminem fan. Not so much the whole Slim Shady persona, but as far as the G Unit, when he was really engulfed in the whole hip-hop scene, rapping with all types of artists and featuring everybody's songs and trying to help up-and-coming rappers, and he was really going toe-to-toe with everybody. He was always when it comes to politics, he was openly critical of George Bush. And he actually has a song, in case you haven't heard it, called Mosh, where it's literally criticizing the entire establishment. I'm just saying. He literally says, he had a song called March, and when he said, I give sight to the blind, mind, sight to the mind. I exercise my right to express when I feel it's time. It's just all in your mind what you interpret it as. I say to fight, you take it as I'ma kick someone's ass. If you don't understand, don't even bother to ask a father who has grown with the fuck. Anyway, but that's a song called Mosh, and I actually that song was actually a really good song. If you've never heard it, it's a fantastic song. But he does critique Bush in that song because it was well deserved. And people are like, well, he critiqued Bush in the same way, so clearly he's partisan. Eminem has been famous through a total of Bill Clinton, George Bush, Barack Obama, where he went silent for a long time, honestly, and then Donald Trump. Okay, if people are like he didn't criticize Bill Clinton, you're a damn lie. You ain't never listened to Eminem. Comes at Bill Clinton and other politicians in Hollywood and all that shit all the time. He is very much so anti-Hollywood. He gets critiqued by Hollywood all the time for being anti-Hollywood. He's always been anti-establishment and also conservatives, which is why he said the line about his fans who are fans of Donald Trump, where he says, I'm drawing a line in the sand. What he is saying when he says, I draw a line in the sand, for those of you, because once again, I know some people take things literally and they take it, the nuance of rap is lost to some. If that's not one of your cups of tea, I get it. Here's your chance to hopefully educate other people who are complaining about this. It's crazy that we've actually had this conversation, that we have to have this conversation. What he's saying is, when I draw a line in the sand, he isn't saying, oh, yeah, obviously Trump's administration and his policies are not my cup of tea. And so therefore, I'm drawing a political line in the sand saying you must be Republican or Democrat. That is not at all what he is saying. He is saying if you support a character who calls white supremacists fine people and then calls people who take a knee sons of bitches, then you can stay over there. But in his reason, he is talking about the reason that he is talking about these characteristics that Trump's speech has embodied is because he understands his fan base. For those of you who think for some reason that he's like pro-Democrat, pro-liberal, pro-progressive, establishment left, he is the most non-politically correct rapper possibly in the course of history, which is why so many kind of Trump-esque conservatives have liked him, because he's been rebellious. He is a rebel. That's how his music style has always been. And what he is saying is there's a lot when he jokes, and he's actually had a lot of interviews about this, where he talks about some of these things that he deals with. He talks about them in a very vile manner, and he says things that he knows he shouldn't say because that's how he deals with the very complex issues of his life. He has mental disorders, he's had a horrible childhood, and he's never been really politically correct because that is what has allowed him to be famous. Got it. So he had a lot of conservative fan bases who say things like they think that the things that Trump says are okay, and they're not. And to think that if calling someone out for being a racist bigot and being an elitist prick means you're supporting a partisan shill for the Democratic Party and the Democratic establishment, that is ludicrous. It's rap. It's a BET cipher. People are like, well, why is this the first one that I've seen that's gone viral? It is not. I am a fan of hip hop once again. Obviously, I'm a millennial, and obviously I have other friends who are fans of hip hop. Eminem ciphers have gone viral every single year that BET has done the BET cipher during the BET Awards. Every single year. Not one time has Eminem been on the BET Awards, did a cipher, and it has not gone viral. So let's not act like fuck, Eminem is a political analyst. I tell you all the time. Well, I was pissed. Whenever Jay-Z went on stage with Hillary Clinton, I was livid. Ooh, I was pissed. I'm still mad. I'm still hot. It took me a good 3-4 days to listen to Jay-Z's new album because I was so upset, okay, about him endorsing Hillary Clinton. I was pissed. But at the same exact time, Jay-Z doesn't spend every waking moment of his day watching, listening, and observing politics like I do, like you do, nor do his friends. Should he? Absolutely. I feel like that's been one of the downfall of minorities and when it comes to progress in general. Does that give him a pass? Absolutely not. But do I expect more out of him? Absolutely not. People are or they aren't. A lot of people, it is not just Eminem, it's not just Jay-Z or Beyonce or, just people who casually observe. I'm talking about casual observers now. People who don't really speak on politics all that often. A lot of them aren't what you would call woke, if you will. Okay? It's the facts. Because, like a lot of people, nobody worries about politics until it starts affecting that bottom line or someone who looks like you becomes affected by them. And it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. But it's this how life is sometimes. Now, this isn't like who we're going to talk about next, Sarah Silverman or Morgan Freeman, who has gone out of their way to pretend as if they actually understand what's going on in politics, that they actually understand foreign policy, that they actually understand domestic policy, that they are legitimately an authority on politics. It's not like them. They're a different breed. That is the Hollywood. Those are literally the Hollywood shills. And I'm going to explain to you why. So, Harvey Weinstein, or Weiner, Weinstein, yeah, Weinstein, right? Weinstein. I'm not good with names. This man is atrocious. He tried to essentially rape a 17-year-old girl when she was up and coming in Hollywood. Unfortunately, for those of you who are familiar with the idea of the casting couch, you know that this happens all too often. That was disturbing. If you haven't listened to the recording, just a warning. For those of you who have been molested or raped in the past, and do not listen to that recording. I'm so serious about that. It made me uncomfortable, as you know, someone, who has little sisters, who has a mother, who has close female friends, and the idea of being put in a position where you feel like your career could be on the line and your body and your reputation could be on the line, and then essentially you almost have no way out. And if you accused someone of what's happening, or if you accuse somebody like Weinstein, who is literally not only connected Hollywood-wise but politically as well, then nobody would believe you. That's an absolutely horrible feeling, and Weinstein's behavior is abhorrent. Somebody should cut his little wee-wee off. Seriously. But what's crazy to me, what's absolutely insane to me, and it's gotten bad, right? It's gotten very, very, very bad. Whenever Trump made his little grab him by the pussy comment, boy, the left, boy, these liberals, these neoliberals, Sarah Silverman, Amy Schumer, all of them, oh boy, they was about as loud as can be. Right? Pussy had this, pussy grabber that, pussy. I ain't never heard the word pussy so much in my life. And I was in high school once. Okay? All of a sudden, remember when Trump said, I can't believe he would just say something like that. I can't believe that Trump would do something like that. And even Trump himself, I'm not surprised by this guy. Yeah, I've known him for a long time. Can't believe it. He tried to move on from that conversation fast because Trump got some issues himself with some young women. So, it's sickening. Because guess what I did? Because I was like, you know what I want to know? You know what? I want to know. I'm going to go through Sarah Silverman's comments. Because I just know the feminist. Amy Schumer too. So the feminist that she is. The great woman unifier that she is. I know she gonna talk about this. There's nothing. You can't hide from this. You're in Hollywood. And you simultaneously involve yourself in politics. And remember who you were? Everybody's, if you don't like Hillary, you're sexist, you're ridiculous, you're this, you're that. You never call anybody on the Democratic establishment side, but you're constantly talking about the Republicans as if they're really not one and the same on most issues. The only comment Sarah Silverman had about this entire ordeal was the GOP's page said that the Dems' hypocrisy on Harvey Weiner was palpable, which I agree with. All she said was, yeah, but the, sexual harassment started before this tweet and y'all still giving money to the pussy grabber. That was her response. didn't mention Harvey Weiner's name, did not condemn his actions. Hillary Clinton didn't come out until days later, and Harvey Weinstein and Hillary Clinton are fantastic friends to the degree that Harvey Weinstein is one of the biggest fundraisers Hillary Clinton has. Trump is so disrespectful to women. Harvey Weinstein is one of the most disrespectful people in all of Hollywood. All you can say is his behavior is unacceptable. Is that safe enough, everybody? Is that safe enough? Did we toe the line? We said something like that, he knows we would say, but just in case I need him to fundraise for my homeboys later on, he won't be mad at me. You're not mad at me? I had to say it. You got caught. And you know what his response was? You know what his response to all of this was? Man, I hope that people can forgive me. I'm going to go see my therapist, take some time off. And I hope when I come back that people can see I'm a changed man. I'm just an old dinosaur. You know what Trump, remember when Trump hit him with his locker room talks? He hit it with I just come from an older time. That's literally the same thing as this is locker room talk, in case you were wondering. He hit him with the boys will be boys. Trump was destroyed. Destroyed for that comment. A lot of people don't even know he said that until I just told you all right now. That was his excuse. Lisa Bloom, a lawyer who represented sexual assault victims, this woman has now become the advisor for Mr. Weinstein. You know what she said? He's just an old dinosaur trying to get along in these new times. Woman, you were a sexual assault victim sweet baby Jesus. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. Sarah Silverman because I hate, this is once again, I don't like when we throw the word shill around and we say everybody's a pawn for the establishment, because it takes attention away from the people who are really sheepdogging from the establishment. It pushes away people who are on our side or trying to be on our side. Understand something. Y'all remember that little show Sarah Silverman put on for us, right? She got all the Bernie people on her side. Like, yeah, I love Bernie. Oh my God, you Bernie, your bus people are being ridiculous. Oh my God. Right? You remember. Then, all of a sudden she was all in for Hillary. She was all in for Hillary, right? Because Trump is a pussy grabber. We got to have Hillary. Okay, so what's up? You have to understand something. Harvey Weinstein is one of the most powerful men in Hollywood. So what do you think his behavior is indicative of? If he's allowed to get away with that type of stuff, what do you think his cohorts and his colleagues are getting away with daily? The term casting couch is not a joke. Almost every single female celebrity has been sexually harassed or abused or assaulted to get where they are at. And that is not a joke. That is not an exaggeration. This is a fact. Almost from Tyra Banks to Halle Berry to Beyonce, all of them. You had such a problem with Donald Trump's comments, as if Donald Trump was a politician at the time. Donald Trump hung out with people like Harvey Weinstein, like Bill Clinton, like Jeffrey Epstein. But once again, like I said, it takes attention away from, whenever we critique people like Eminem for saying one positive thing about Obama's character, it takes attention away from things like the fact that after Sarah Silverman's grand act, guess who got a show? doing political satire. Oh my God. That just has to be some type of huge coincidence, right? After she put on this grand act, this facade of just utter disgust against Donald Trump. There's utter disgust every day against the Republicans. All of a sudden, Sarah Silverman gets her show and always on television. She's all up on Hulu now. All of a sudden, her following is doubled since the election. It's not a coincidence. That is called shilling. That is highest sheepdog. Bernie Sanders is not a sheepdog. If he is the worst sheepdog in the history of politics. Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, Sarah Silverman, Amy Schumer, Morgan Freeman, for God's sakes. All of these people are sheepdogs. Not one of them. Matter of fact, I bet we go to Cory Booker's timeline right now. Let's go to Cory Booker's timeline. Let's see what happens. I want to see. I'm going to see. We're going to look at it. We're going to see on the last 2 minutes of this show. How many times they talked about Jeffrey? Oh, by the way, Harvey Weinstein. You know what his response was? He said, "I must take my attention, focusing on Donald Trump." I swear to God, that's what he said. Focusing on Donald Trump. That's what he said. I'm not joking. That's how he said he's going to solve his problem. Weinstein. No Weinstein. Nope. No Puerto Rico. No nothing. No Weinstein. Now all of a sudden, because he's been getting all this attention. He's been getting a lot of publicity from his EPA speech. So that's all he's talking about now. Is he cares about the environment all of a sudden. Have you been to New Jersey? Yeah. Powerful senator. Yeah. So nothing about anything. They don't care. Democrats don't give a shit. The establishment doesn't give a damn. It's all games. Trump's behavior is distasteful. Harvey Weinstein's behavior is distasteful. You just got to learn to pick your battles, people. Learn who's on your side. Learn who isn't. But argue for integrity and you'll be all right. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching. And always remember, find your balance. Peace.
Clear?
We're all good to go.